Go.
Good afternoon. This is a video for both horticulture and environmental science because actually you're starting off with the same lab, but you're doing some different things with them. I showed you the first part of the lab that I showed you. Actually, it's two labs. Is the aged bean lab, and I've got mine planted here. I've got 2020, 2019, and 2018. So those are aged lambs. Oh, by the way, go Rams. I'll flip this over, go Rams, right? Anyway, we're gonna treat these all the same. I'm gonna put them in the greenhouse. I'm gonna water them all the same. Everything. Here, the only manipulated variable is the age. Now you have a little choice with the foil packet because these are all the same aged bean, 2020, meant to be planted this year. So what you're going to do is say, hey, what are some variables that I can control, or excuse me, that I can manipulate, a manipulated variable? How can I do each one of these a little different? So there's many things you could do. First off, one of the things you could do, you could plant them at different depths. Now I very conveniently have 1 inch left here because I'm going to put the seed in there and then cover it over with dirt. You could plant them at different depths. However, probably everybody knows if you plant a bean at the bottom, it may not make it. It may not have enough energy to come to the top. I think I'm going to put mine in different germinating environments, but that's up to you for yours. So right now, I'm going to put a bean, 2020 bean in the foil pack. I'm going to put each one in each one of those containers. I'm putting one bean. So once you stop now, then I can start it back up. So I put my beans all at 1 inch deep. I haven't covered them up yet, but I will. Now I see I have one extra bean. Some of you may have an extra bean. Hopefully you're not short. But if you are short a bean, which could happen, because that was a lot of beans to count, just make note of it which one you only start with 5. But you should mostly start with 6 seeds in the containers. So I've decided to put them all at the same depth. So I am going to cover them up then with 1 inch of dirt as per the instructions in our handy dandy quick bean planting guide, which is a seed packet, which you'll be able to see on canvas. Oh, found a pretty big rock. We mix some dirt, can't always, I'm gonna get rid of that bigger rock because sometimes there's some in there. So anyway, we're covering these. Now I'm gonna think to myself, what could I do to treat these containers different? That's the cool thing. That's why you have 3 containers. You can put them in different locations. You could treat them differently. So, that does open up all sorts of possibilities. So, you think to yourself, what could I do? Well, I will give you some hints. You can always email me and say, hey, will this work? Don't be too complicated. You know, we're already complicated because we're doing remote school. Let's not make it any worse than it already is. So I covered them all up the same. That's a control variable. They're all in the same pots. That's a control variable. Same bean seed, type of seed. That's the control variable. Same age. So what am I going to do? Well, I am going to then water them. But let's say I decide not to water one as much or one more. That could be a variable. I think the easiest thing is to put them in 3 different locations. Water them equally. And just water them when needed, because that then turns into a controlled variable. You treat each one the same. You water it when it's needed. By the way, the other experiment, I watered these until the water started dripping out the bottom of the hole. No more. And I'm not going to water them again until they show signs of being dry. So I'm watering these, and I'm going to let them soak up. So it takes a while to soak it up. We don't need to see that. Turn that off, and then we'll come back in a second.
Go.
Hi. Well, this is Mr. Sloan continuing the manipulated bean variable. The water is dripping through. I didn't overwater it. The beans are planted 1 inch deep, same beans, all 2020. Now, where are some places you could put them? I'm just trying to give you some hints. You can be creative, but don't be too creative. Don't put them like, you know,
on the roof.
Yeah, someplace where you're going to get hurt, like on the roof. So anyway, I could maybe put them over here. This location is shady and fairly cool every day. I could do that. I could put them maybe out here in the open air, out in the sun. That's a location I could put them. I could put them in partial sun. Now this corn is really overshadowing. It is really growing up there making corn. But if I left that there, that's an example of partial sun. Lots of plants like partial sun. Don't know how that would do. Another place I could put this as we take this. Now remember, you have 2 others. You got to put them in 3 different places. I could put one in the dark, down here on the ground, or put it right here in the dark. I could put one here in the greenhouse. Like this. So I've showed you some possible places. Now, I don't think we're going to publish this video quite yet, because with all of these, you have to keep track of some stuff. Mostly temperature and sunlight. So you're going to have to make a chart that goes with this. How hot was it this day? How much sun? Because you're going to keep track of every day of those things. And days that you water it. How wet is your ground? So this lab has a chart of environmental conditions. And then once it starts to grow, we will also be charting the height of these. One of the first things you'll do is you'll send me a cell phone picture of everything planted. You don't need to show it to me where you put it necessarily, but that you're starting from scratch and ready to go. So I went ahead, you're going to see these videos happen as this stuff starts to grow. Like I say, this is a week before school, and they're going to be growing. I may start some more too, so they're closer to where you are. I would think that you would start yours about the first couple days of school. That's my goal, because we want to have some heat. Okay, so that is the manipulated bean variable. This is 2 lab, so this is container 2. There's container 1, container 2, and container 3. All in different locations. Okay, see you later, kids.